Okay, good afternoon. I'm here with Gallant. Thanks for your time, sir. I really appreciate it. We're a little bit late today, so I'm pretty appreciative and humble
Oh,
by the fact you wait for us.
I'm just glad you thought of me today. So I'm just happy to be here.
All good. Let's get straight into it. You've got an album and an EP that you've already produced, right?
Yes, yeah.
Zebra and Ology. Would that be? There's always one, isn't there? It's all good. Don't worry. Zebra and
We could start over the intro.
That's right. That's fun. We like to add that realness in there. Yeah, man, keep it real. Zebra and Ology. I want you to kind of take me through the creative process of pulling your music together. The reason why I'm asking that will become clearer when I ask the next question. But
Sure. Yeah.
Talk to me. Where do you find inspiration, especially for those two projects?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for those two, it was interesting. I went. We were talking before camera, but I went to school in New York, and I'm originally from the suburbs in Maryland, so it's very. And I was a quiet kid growing up. Like I didn't really speak that much, and I kind of kept to myself and my friends. So when I went up to New York, there was like a period of time where I tried to kind of like fit into the industry, and because I really wanted to make music, so I kind of tried to chase that thing, and then I realized that the personality just wasn't really my world. I'm not like I like real life. I don't like a reality TV fake life that you're living. I kind of just gave up on that whole thing, and while I was giving up on it, I kind of like hung around my friends who were making music, who became my best friends, and they had the same kind of attitude. And Zebra, I kind of made with my friend Felix at the time, and we were just vibing and kind of like voicing our own frustrations with the industry and with life and just dealing with isolation and just kind of doing it in a really unfiltered way, not trying to fit into any kind of category.
Yeah.
And I just kind of put it on the internet as the same way that you would, download a file and just put it on your desktop. It's not really thinking about it. And ironically, that was when I started to see the phantom audience kind of grow that everyone in the industry said didn't exist for me. And then I was able to, kind of do my own thing off of that.
You said that the EP Zebra was a sonic diary about dealing with the aftermath of New York, right? Are those your words?
Maybe like a long time ago.
Because I wanted you to explain that for me. Because I
was probably in a much more moody type of angsty headspace when I said that.
Right.
But I guess it's true though. I was in like a weird kind of period of time. I'm 26 now, so
yeah.
I went to college when I was 17 and graduated when I was 20. So I kind of like, I think it was just a lot to kind of take in for someone so young. And I felt like, I just really didn't feel like I fit in anywhere, so it was really tough to kind of deal with that at the time.
So was that the normal kind of finding yourself issues that people have, or for you was it even greater than that?
I think it was, but at the same time, it's just, it's hard because, it was at the point where I was in school for music, and then my professors were telling me that I shouldn't do music because, I didn't have the right kind of voice, or I didn't have the right kind of look, or I didn't have the right kind of personality, or I didn't have the right kind of friends, or I didn't dress a certain type of way. It was like, but it was just so, it was just, it was a culture just so obsessed with the really superficial kind of, glow of something that I thought was a lot deeper than that, I don't care if I'm writing lyrics that only I understand. I don't want to, water it down and just, just shovel out just a bunch of trite nonsense for likes and views, and that's just not what I was.
You're about substance.
Yeah, or just intention. Like, just saying something and making something because you have a blank canvas and the tools around you to create whatever you want. I'm not really concerned about painting like a bowl of fruit so I can sell it in Walmart for $2.99. So it was really hard for me to kind of deal with the realization that I was just never going to adhere to that kind of I guess like very commercialized, appearance obsessed kind of environment that everybody else in the industry was really chasing at that time.
So if that was a stage of non-acceptance, call it.
Definitely, yeah.
What was being highlighted as a breakthrough artist by Spotify in 2016 like for you then? And talk to me about those couple of years between the EP and being identified as that type of talent.
Definitely, I think that was big for me. I think that was right before my actual album came out. But Spotify was actually at the time when I was putting stuff on the internet and I saw kind of like any kind of semblance of a response, I kind of just started saying, hey, I want to get to know these people who are accepting my music for what it is and taking me for at face value. I want to connect with these people. Right. So I just started kind of like sending emails, doing, I was my own manager, my own publicist, and booking my own shows and just doing that whole thing, just to get that connection. And Spotify, I think, I even, got to email, I'm talking like 2012, 2013 maybe. I was, talking to people at Spotify and they were kind of, helping me just broadcast everything to an audience, and
really supporting and just got behind you.
Yeah, I it was at the point where I was like applying to some coffee shops in LA and so I could do that thing. But then the checks from people listening to my music on Spotify started coming in, and I could just kind of do that and focus on trying to learn as much as I could about the other people who were responding well to something that I was just kind of inspired to and motivated to create, and that was the most empowering thing, I think, for me.
See, I was going to say, you've answered it, but those 2 years sound like a real pivotal time.
Definitely, yeah, because it was really at the point everybody told me that I should quit. Like my friends didn't like my music growing up.
Your friends, your peers.
I mean, I started like recording stuff when I was like 14, 13.
As you do.
Yeah, of course, and it was and you pass it around to your friends and be like, oh, this is terrible, and that's just always been my experience, up until college. But I just wanted to make stuff and write things because I was compelled to do it. So that point was so that point in time was so special because instead of saying you're not worth anything unless you fit into these boxes, people were saying you're worth something because you're making something with any kind of intention or any kind of message that other people can respond to. And that just, I guess, validated my belief that people just appreciate, art in all forms, no matter what it is.
Was there a point that made you think, oh, this is changing? Was there any singular moment that, you sat down and thought, okay, that fight of me trying to get acceptance, that's not the fight no more. People have accepted me and I'm about to move forward now. Was there a point? What was the point?
I think that's a tough one. I think there were a lot of them, but I guess once people, it was tough. I would say once I started getting a response online, everybody kind of comes back around, right. And then you realize like, oh, people don't really know what is going on. They just kind of, people. It's like
they need to be told it's hot as opposed to working it out for themselves.
People who work at the companies, they definitely need to be told. No offense, but but that's the way it is. But I guess I just saw a much more democratic process, right. and separating the cream from the crop.
Yeah.
And at the time, like SoundCloud was really, really big, and Hype Machine was like everybody's Billboard Hot 100 alternative. And so I think having those kinds of communities in the blog community, really kind of helped propel the stuff that I was putting out at that time, along with incredible things that other people were putting out from their bedrooms, in a way that I don't think we definitely don't do it now anymore. But and we didn't really have anything like that, explicitly before. So I just feel like it was a really lucky time.
Billboard named your performance at Coachella 2016 as one of the number one moments for the entire festival. What was that like?
I mean, that was really fun. I actually, that show I brought a seal out, and we did Crazy, and then we did a duet version of my song Weight in Gold from my first albumology, and it was crazy, man. It was a surreal experience. And the second weekend, I had Janae Aiko come out. Me and her have a song together on my first album, and it was crazy, man. It was a lot. There were a lot of people there. I'd never been to a festival.
See, that was gonna be my next question. Obviously, being in that environment around so many stars, if you like.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy for sure. Like I said, I'm a very low key guy, so I would never be at Coachella. So I was just lucky to be able to experience it in that way, with those people.
Did you, because a lot of what's written about you, people suggest you're odd, you don't fit in, and obviously you've touched on all those things ago. Did you feel odd? Did you feel different, or was it other people that were labeling you so?
I felt like I could turn on the TV and I didn't recognize myself in like all the stereotypes of
Yeah.
what I'm supposed to be for
Right.
sure, you know, like, but
When did that start happening?
uh, I, I guess when I was, when I was a kid watching TV, like I'm a huge Japanophile. Like I studied Japanese basically my whole life, and I studied it in school too. But
Okay.
I always felt way more connected to the characters in like anime and like Japanese, just anything than American TV for sure. So I guess right then I was like and also my parents just they're they're just really nice people, and they they value things like different perspectives and having a lot of knowledge, and they don't necessarily they just didn't pass down values to me that match what I would see on on reality television, I guess, and that just seemed to be kind of a side of the industry that just felt really prominent. I feel like so.
Must be all the more satisfying than to be experiencing the type of success, be in your ascension, essentially, irrespective of all of that.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, and to see people just respond to it for sure. It's to know that there's a place for that is definitely it's validating, but it definitely creates a lot of optimism.
If music motivates, what motivates you musically?
I think knowing that I can learn something from what I make, and like I was a completely different. I don't want to say completely different person, but like I had a lot of like I probably wouldn't be able to hold a conversation that well if this were 5, 6 years ago.
Right.
So I just know that and even before that, when I was growing up, when I was a kid, like every time I wrote something, I like learned a lot more about myself. It was really empowering to just see how much how big the results could be, I guess, from going through that process of digging into yourself to make something that you can play back and get any kind of enjoyment out of.
So is that what you, I mean, because self-therapy is one of your terms, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And what I wanted to know is how you incorporate that within your music, or is that what you're explaining a little bit in terms of?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's hard for me to like to make something that I don't feel is gonna coming from me. I guess coming from like a deep part of me, or like just kind of I mean like when I was growing up and I was really quiet, I think most of what I was doing is just observing and like analyzing everything, and so. Those are just all the experiences that I can pull from when I create something. So then when I get to look back at it, I feel like it's like an analysis of myself in a way, So just being able to kind of experience that externally and like look at myself in a mirror, I feel like is a form of therapy in itself. It just gives you context and clarity and insight,
Musically, what are you into? What's in the playlist right now?
Oh man, right now I'm a huge 90s R&B guy. Like I'm a big Brady fan and Babyface and all that stuff. So I've been going back to a lot of that. I think let me think. If we're talking about like current stuff, man, I don't even know. I could pull up my Spotify and look at the.
I mean,
I'd actually be curious.
I know the mind goes blank sometimes. What about while you're searching for that? What about? You mentioned the 90s and stuff. What's it about that era for you? Sorry, excuse me.
I think because I was born in 91.
Right.
I remember when I was like before I was like 10. My parents, both of my parents worked, so I had like babysitters and stuff. And I think what it was, and I just recently like thought about it, which is what makes me think about it. But they were like teenagers, and I just felt like they were having so much fun, and they had all their friends, and they were like watching like new episodes of Moesha on TV, and they go to like the TLC concert, and that just and I was alone watching that happen. So I just kind of I think I romanticized that type of just that era because I saw so many people having fun during it. So every time I listen to it, I can kind of like put myself in that place and pretend like 20-year-old in 2001. You know.
You mentioned Janae Aiko. Who else would you like to work with moving forward, and who else is kind of an artist that you look up to and think, I'd definitely like to emulate that type of success?
I mean, I don't know about the emulation, because I tried that, just didn't work for me. So, but I mean, I would love to work with like Brandy, and she's definitely, I feel like if I could get some kind of duet from that, and feed off some kind of energy, that would be crazy. So I put out the feelers in the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gonna come back then. Are you ready for that?
I hope so. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the whole superstar thing that's coming your way?
Oh, I haven't even thought about it, to be honest. Yeah, so we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. What can fans expect from the album that comes later this year? What's the feel of the project?
It's I think my first album was very very, very internal, very like analytical. I think this one's pretty it's pretty anecdotal. I think like I'm pulling from very specific moments in time, for sure.
Any you want to share with us?
I have this song out called "Doesn't Matter" right now, and that's I think that's probably my most like anecdotal one to date. All taking place in the span of like maybe 15 seconds, and at the same time I can still kind of like hint at some internal struggle, but it's not that brooding. It's not focused on that. It's more focused on just the series of events.
Do you find that easy? Do you find that process of pulling that inspiration and compiling it and making the project, making the song, do you find that easy?
Definitely, yeah. I think the fewer people involved for me, I feel like the easier it becomes, for sure. I definitely kept it really small for my first album. Like I just worked with a really close friend of mine named Stent, who's an incredible producer, and I worked with him a lot on this album too. But I definitely think just if it's like a tight-knit kind of circle of people kind of contributing and bouncing ideas back and forth, I feel like that makes it really easy.
I ask this to everybody when I'm interviewing them. If the next 12 months went perfectly, how Gallant wanted them to go, what would that look like?
If the next 12 months went perfectly, I mean, I think I would just be hanging out in the suburbs in California, and putting together an album that I think is worth putting out, and hearing positive feedback or negative feedback or just any kind of feedback from people who feel something from it. But I'd probably, wherever it is or whatever's happened, it would definitely be me in my own little bubble, and then everything else would probably happen outside of that bubble.
Yeah, I'm going to finish it right there. The ladies in the office are going to be disappointed I didn't ask you about your marital situation. Well, we can do that next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can get into that. But thanks for your time. I really appreciate it, man. And good luck with everything. All right?
Oh, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome, bro.
I did pull up the